You know where she was going? She was going to this place. See the yellow spot? That's all she was going to, 90 miles. But instead, she travels almost 1,000 miles. She was following the GPS. 67-year-old Sabrina Moreau of Belgium follows this. I was distracted, so I kept driving. I saw all kinds of traffic signs. They were in French, German, Croatian, and suddenly I appeared in Zagreb. I realized I was in Belgium. She was only going 90 miles away to her house on the seaside. 9 plus 1 is 10. Nazareth to Jerusalem is only 90 miles. Right between Nazareth and Galilee and Jerusalem is Samaria. You traveled 3 times a year to go to Jerusalem. So more than likely, Jesus traveled 3 times. The first time he traveled in Passover. As a Jewish man, adult, you're expected to go to this temple 3 times out of the year. So the first was in March or April. It commemorates the deliverance from Egypt. The second was in Hanukkah, November to December, 165 BC, dedication of the second temple. If you understand, the first temple was built by Solomon, the second was by Zerubbabel, and the third was by Herod the Great. And so this was commemorating the second temple. And Sukkot, September to October, commemorates the Exodus when people lived in tents. So you went during the month of March, you went to Passover, you went to Sukkot, you went to Hanukkah. There were 3 times. The Bible doesn't tell us which trip it was that Jesus took when he went from Galilee all the way to Jerusalem. Luke 17 is our story. I love this story. It's one of the most fascinating stories. Because the impetus in that story is a decree that it doesn't matter who you are. God is going to reach out to you. I believe that when the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit got together and they decided that they would send the Son to earth, they made special encounters. They sat down and said, okay, there are 33 miracles in the Bible. I want you to meet 33 very important people for us. Do not come to heaven unless you meet those people. One of them happens to be the 10 lepers. Isn't that amazing? The Son of God comes and he sees this. Look at the story. Now on his way to Jerusalem, Jesus traveled along the border between Samaria and Galilee. As he was going into a village, 10 men who had leprosy met him. They stood at a distance. Powerful words that Dr. Luke tells us. They stood at a distance. They dare not come near Jesus because he was clean. He was a rabbi. And called out in a loud voice, and the Greek is megaphoni. Jesus, Master, had pity on us when he saw them. Another interesting word. When he saw them, he said, go, show yourself to the priests. And here's another powerful word. And as they went. Wow. I don't know about you, but leprosy is pretty dangerous. We were in Zambia doing dentistry, and one of the elders came and he said, you know what? There's a leper colony 60 miles out in the bush. It's about 3 years ago. 60 miles out in the bush where there's no dentist there. Nobody has seen a dentist in 60 years, 60 years. Would you be willing to go? There are patients over there who are in pain. I told my wife, she said, yeah, sure, we're here. And the 2 of us got on this Land Rover, packed up all our stuff, and off we went. Kid you not, one day we saw 600 patients. I was tired at the end of the day. Go show yourself to the priest. One of them, when he saw he was healed, came back praising God in a loud voice. He threw himself at Jesus' feet and thanked him. He was a Samaritan. Wow. We're going to unpack the story. And Jesus says, we're not all 10 cleansed. Where are the other 9? Has no one returned except to give praise, except for this foreigner? And he said, rise, go. Your faith has made you whole. Very powerful story, and we're going to unpack this the next 5 days. It's okay to go home late. You know that on Sabbath? You know, when we were in Chad, right in the middle of nowhere, I don't know how many of you have been to Chad. It's just the armpit of the world. Yeah, I grew up in Africa, and I told God, I said, God, I want to go to the most beautiful place in Africa, like Kenya, like Tanzania, like South Africa, which is just like San Diego. You know where God sent me? And we're still going there? To Chad. Chad is sub-Sahara. It's bad news. You get malaria falciparum. That mosquito bites you, you die. I mean, you know, James Appel lost his children over there. I think, God, why do you send me to these places? I want to go someplace and enjoy myself. He said, no. Cursed by Yahweh. On heaven's short list, an incredible journey. We're going to unpack the story in three ways. We're going to look at it. The first one is cursed by Yahweh. What does that mean? They were lepers. You know, leprosy was a disease thought of in the Old Testament as black magic, as the sufferer sin, as being possessed by the demons of hell. That was leprosy. Because as the demons got into you, they started eating your body. Have you ever seen a leper? He has no fingers. He has no nose. You know why? Because they don't feel the rats eating them at night, because the nerve endings are gone. And they feel pain like nobody else in the rest of their body. Medical texts of ancient Near East attribute leprosy either to black magic or the sufferer's sin. Assyrian medical texts. And the Talmud, which is a commentary on the Old Testament, says the cursed by Yahweh. If you're cursed by Yahweh, you got leprosy. Leprosy in the Old Testament was an act of God reserved for the rebellious. Did you know that? Yeah, let's follow this through. Look at this. Miriam, the sister who saves Moses, gets leprosy because she complains that Moses married a darker woman. Seriously? And God says, you know, she would have rather spit on my face. He says that. And the cloud ascends. The cloud goes off, and the lady, Miriam, is as white as snow. She gets leprosy. Look at this guy, Gehazi. Elijah and Naaman, right? Naaman says, I want to be healed. Elijah says, here, I'll go dunk yourself 7 times in the river Jordan. And he gets healed. Gehazi goes back and he says, hey, give me some money. And he gets leprosy. How about our friend here, King Uzziah? He thought he was so good. He doesn't need a priest to intervene on his behalf. He was king anyway. I will go into the holy place, into the sanctuary of God, and I will offer prayers. I don't need anybody interceding for me. Pride. And he comes out and catches leprosy. Leprosy was a rebellious act of God. The leprous person who has a disease shall wear torn clothes. Let the hair of his head hang loose, and he shall cover his upper lip and cry, unclean, unclean. And the Talmud says, you better be 400 feet away from any living creature. 400 feet away. He's unclean, he shall live alone. His dwelling place shall be outside the camp. Wow. What happens to family? How about love? How about being hugged? How about someone saying, honey, I love you? How about coming home to a good meal? How about taking a shower? How about clean clothes? All those amenities are gone. You lived till you died. But there was one guy, Samaritan. He was looking for Jesus. And they stood at a far distance and cried. You know, I love this word, mercy. Jesus and miracles, boy, I tell you. If you want to know more about Jesus, forget all the books in the Bible. Just read the book of John. You'll see the love of Jesus from first chapter to the last chapter. 2 blind men followed him, calling out and saying, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." A Canaanite woman cried out, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." The father of the epileptic son, "Lord, have mercy on us, Son of David." Blind Bartimaeus on the walls of Jericho asking for mercy. It's powerful. The Greek word for mercy is Elias. Elias means this, grace that you don't get. In other words, it is unearned. Mercy and grace, you don't earn them. They're unearned. It's undeserved. I was driving from Reno the other day. There's a place, I know many of you have been to Reno. Coming down Auburn, there's a long stretch. That's where all the cops hang out. Okay? I got all gizmos in my car, like, I'm doing how many miles? Set it on 65. You go 68, he's going to pull you. And I forgot what I was doing, talking to my wife. Let's blame her for this. She's not here. Talking to my wife, I was doing 80. Before I knew it, woo, he pulls me over. He says, "What is the problem with you?" Young kid, he's less than 20 years old, maybe he's 14. I don't know. He comes over and says, "What's the problem with you? What's your license and your registration?" I give it to him. I said, "Sir, here it is." He says, "Why are you driving like a madman?" I told him the truth, which I don't know. I don't know. He looked at me and he said, "You know what? You deserve a $185 ticket." I said, made a mistake. But guess what? I'm going to let you go this time. That is mercy. That is grace. That is freely given, undeserved, unearned. And here is the leper calling out to Jesus. "Lord, have mercy on me. I don't deserve this. Give me your grace. I don't deserve anything. Can you see me, a dead man, walking? Have mercy on us." Jesus restores, Jesus heals. Who in the past were no people, but now are God's people who had not obtained mercy, but what? Now have obtained mercy. You know what makes you fit for the kingdom? You have received mercy. You have received that grace, unearned, unmerited. You didn't deserve it. It was freely given to you. I am the Lord who heals you. Have mercy on us. Have mercy on us. Heaven's shortlist. I wrote a book. I was saying that about in Sabbath school. I think God made a small list. And this guy was on heaven's shortlist. I've been to the store and your wife asks you, she gives you the small short thing. She says, "Don't come home without this." Huh? And you forget, what happens? "Could you please go back and get that spice that I asked you?" "Okay, honey, I'll be right back." They were on heaven's shortlist. I want to be on God's shortlist, don't you? Wouldn't that be neat if God says, "You know what, Sam Thomas? I don't care what happens to anybody else. I want you in the kingdom with me. I want you here with me. I can't do without," just like Moses. God couldn't do, the burial of Moses is amazing. I've buried a lot of people in my church. The burial of Moses is amazing. Did you know that? God buries Moses. He goes back and he thinks about it. And he says, "I can't do without this guy. I miss him already." He comes back down, brings it back up. He goes against his own precepts. He takes a shortcut. Couldn't do without Moses. Takes him to heaven. How about that? You die and God comes back and says, you know what? Pfft, come on up. Can't do without you. That's my book, Heaven Shortlist. I want to read this. Jesus, Master, have pity on us, I shouted. I wanted collective healing. A man who looked like one of us, dirty, tired, dusty, unshaven, shouted back, go, show yourself to the priest. I could not believe my ears. He didn't touch us, ask us, or invite us. He just shouted back at us, is that it? That is all I needed. I knew he could heal. I did not want an affirmation. Is your faith that strong? When God said he'll do it, can you just say, you know what, God? I'm all yours. 2 commands, that's it. No touching, no healing, no clay on the face, none of that stuff. Faith. There's circumstantial faith, falling faith, relational faith. These are dangerous faith. This 3 faith, don't have this faith. You know why? When the circumstance goes down, your faith goes down the drain. When people that you trust fall, and you have faith, you have made faith with them, your life falls. Have this faith. Have this one. Promise-based faith. Stubborn faith. Childlike faith. You know that faith that Jacob had? I love the Hebrew on it. It says, Kal barak kalek. Unless you bless me, I will not let you go. That is that stubborn faith because he had experienced God. Unless you bless me, Lord, I will not leave this place. I'm not going to go. You know what's wrong with us as a church, with me? We don't we don't stay on our knees too long. 2 minutes in prayer is too long for us. Guys, what happened to the time? Why can't we have a longer prayer time? Why can't you start with praising God? Take the alphabet. Just say, God, you're awesome. Think of all the ways in which you can praise God. Awesome, beautiful, creator, deliverer, everlasting Father, glorious King, honorable, immortal, just. Do you get the drift? That'll take you 15 minutes on your knees as you savor God's presence. And then your prayer can reach Revelation chapter 4 into the very presence of God. The reason we don't get any answers, because our prayers, like Maury Venden says, with the hand on the doorknob walking outside. Want to go into absolute faith. You see, weak faith goes to perfect faith. It can be immediate or it can be prolonged. I believe that in the case of this boy, this guy, that Samaritan, it went from weak faith to perfect faith. It jumped in a heartbeat. That's why God could say, hey, where's the 10 of you? I did so much for all the 10. Why are you the only one that's here? You're a foreigner, you're a Samaritan. And we're going to discuss about that. I like what Philip Yancey says. I have learned that faith means trusting in advance what will only make sense when? In reverse. Doesn't make sense now. He said to the man who was ill for 38 years, guys, when I get sick and I have flu, I don't want to get up, take my mat, and walk. Seriously? It's the most absurd command. The guy was sick for 38 years. He said to the man who was blind from birth, go, wash. Where am I going? Pool of Siloam. I don't know where it is. Just go, wash yourself. Absurd command. He said to the paralytic, the guy, body's not working. Rise up. It's like a guy that comes to my office. He has dentures. He has no teeth. He's used to eating applesauce. I tell him, here, go eat a veggie burger. Are you kidding me? And then as he's eating, teeth grow in his mouth. Would that be a miracle? I'd be out of a job. He says to the 10 lepers, just speaks to them. You know, Sister White makes this comment. She says, all that Christ was, we could be. Is it possible? You know why it's possible? Because in the wee hours of the morning, where was Jesus? Talking to his Father. He was not on his way to get a donut and a coffee, okay, which I'm guilty of. Well, they were still lepers. Third point, incredible journey. Can you imagine? As they were going, the nose comes back, the fingers come back, the cheeks come back, the hair comes off. Well, you know, it'll be nice. Hair comes back. The legs are working properly. As they were going. Could it be possible that because of the intervention of that one Samaritan, that all the rest of the 9 got healed? Because could it be that the faith of this one person was so strong that it could just spill over and cover the entire earth? Wow. As they were going, wow. It's a powerful statement. They had not been healed yet. They were still on their way to see the priest while they were lepers. They believed. They trusted in a command explicitly. Belief becomes trust. And when that trust comes, you act on it. If that chain is gone, you're hopeless. Got to have that. When you believe in something, you trust, and then you act. You know why children fall on your arms? They're sitting up there, and I say, jump, honey. You know what they do? They jump. Are you going to move away and watch them fall down? No, you got to answer to the wife, right? No, you won't do that, because the child believes that daddy is going to hold her. And so she jumps. And you hug her. And you kiss her and say, oh, what a wonderful child. You throw that baby up in the air. Are you going to walk off? Got to get a drink of water? Did happen to one of my patients. He came in. Older guy, my age. 60. Okay, he comes in. All of his front teeth are missing, broken. He's a lawyer. I just saw him 4 months ago. I said, what happened to you, Jack? He said, well, my father-in-law brought me a trampoline. I was jumping on it while I was up doing a flip. He removed it. People do crazy stuff. They were healed. You know, from desperation to restoration, you know who can do? Only Jesus. Only Jesus. We are not desperate enough, guys. We are not. We're not desperate for God's word, are we? You know, we come all dressed up, looking nice on Sabbath. And church is over, 12 o'clock, we go home. You know what time church starts in Africa? 6 in the morning. You know what time it ends? 6 at night. It's a day of joyous worship. You know, we're missing something. He was a Samaritan. He was a leper. 2 things going against him. Samaritan were cursed by God. Because in 72 BC, when Sennacherib took over Samaria, he took all the people, all the Jewish people, took them all to Babylon. And then from Assyria, he brought all the Assyrians back, and he transplanted them. And he brought beautiful Assyrian people. And they intermingled with the Jews, and they caused this religion called the Samaritan religion. And they had their own Pentateuch. They had their own 5 books of Moses. They said, we believe in only the 5 books of Moses, and that's it. That's the Samaritan Pentateuch. And the Jews hated them because they did not come to the temple to worship. They had their own temple to worship. They called Mount Gerizim. They worshipped over the God over there. They did not come to Jerusalem. And on top of that, he was a leper. Nothing was going his way. But you know who was on the lookout? Jesus. He could have taken the other way through the Decapolis, which most of the Jews took, because they didn't want to go through Samaria, because if you went through Samaria, you were contaminated, and you had to buy another goat and give it over to the priest over in temple. They didn't want to do that. They went through Decapolis, the other side of Jordan, to get down to Jerusalem. But Jesus takes a direct route. I want to read this. I would fantasize in the nighttime what I would do if that miracle worker came my way. Would he even talk to me? Would I be able to recognize him? Would he stop just long enough to see me? What if I was asleep when he came? What if I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, watching Jesus for day and night? It became my obsession. Are you watching for Jesus? Is that your obsession? Trust me. This guy had an obsession. He was looking for Jesus. He had no access to a priest. Nothing. All he knew was to come back to the man who healed him. Just wondered. Little did he know, this is the most powerful statement, little did he know that Jesus was heaven's high priest. You know, I want that faith of that guy. I want to see him in heaven. You know, I want to meet two people in heaven. One is this leper guy. You know what the other guy that I want to meet? That thief at the cross. How did you manage to get into heaven? How did this happen? 4 lessons from the healing of lepers, and we're going to close with that. Number 1, sin is a terminal condition. Man and God, sin separates you. I know my transgressions against you, you only have a sin. You know Psalm 51, right? When David messes up with Bathsheba, what does he do? Nathan comes along and Nathan says, hey, man, you messed up big time. You killed Uriah. You married this woman. Not good. David had 2 options. Number 1, to kill Nathan. Or number 2, fall on his face. You know why David is a man after God's own heart? Not because he was perfect, but every time he fell down, he came back up. Guys, there's a huge lesson. Our Bible says a righteous man falls down how many times? 7 times. And he gets up every time. A wicked man falls down only once. Doesn't get up. God responds to desperate pleas. Nothing can separate me from you. Nothing. Heal me, O Lord, and I shall be healed. Save me, and I shall be saved, for thou art my praise. Restoration is a fantastic journey. You know that? Restore to me the joy of your salvation. Once again, Psalm 51. Powerful song. Powerful song. God delights in impossible miracles. If you confess our sins, He'll forgive us. Yeah. Nothing to it. You know what the problem is? We open up the closet. We don't give God the full control of the closet. It's like my pantry. I don't want to throw away those French fries, those chips that are sitting in there. They're rotting. Because I like them. Middle of the night, I go in there. And before I know it, you know, I'm looking like a tub. And my wife's asking, what happened to you? Why is your blood pressure 500 over 300? He was healed. He was redeemed. And he was forgiven. You know, I was a leper. A Samaritan leper. I was unclean, unloved, despised, rejected, cursed, shunned, jeered at, kicked at, forgotten in some lonely cave in the hills of Samaria, waiting for death to come my way. I heard about Jesus. He became my obsession. I searched for him. And I loved this. Then life came my way. Then Jesus came my way. He cleansed me. He loved me, accepted me, forgave me, and snatched me from a leper family and grafted me into the family of God. He can do the same for you. You see, I'm one of those nameless disciples of Jesus. I don't know this guy's name. Such were some of you. You're washed. You're sanctified. You're justified. Isn't that amazing? I love that promise. Are you ready to be restored? Guys, guys, Jesus is on his way. He's on his way.